When Naima came to see us for the first time at the end of October 2014, she had a simple story to tell. She reached France in the 70s. She had raised 5 children, worked all her life. A few years earlier, her husband had fallen ill. She decided to stop working to take care of him. And of course, when he started to get better, she looked for a job. 58 years old, for 2 years, she answered all the job offers sent to her by the unemployment agency, but got no answer. Now she is the head of a company. She created in Bobigny a self-service laundry. The laundry is open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. It works well. So she is no longer jobless. This self-service laundry has facilitated people's lives. It's a place where people meet and talk together. What happened between these 2 points in her life? Naima, on paper, was a typical jobless person who hadn't had any job for a long time. She didn't have a diploma, she had few skills, she didn't write French very well. When she understood that she'd find it very difficult to find a job, she got scared and she thought, well, I better create my own job. She knew her area well. Lots of people complained that the first self-service laundry was quite a long way away. So this was an area where a lot of apartments don't have a washing machine. She said to herself, well, that's my project, and that's how I'm going to create my own work. She came to see Mounira Azizi, who's in charge of Planète Adam in Bobigny, because she wanted to develop the project. She had the idea but didn't know how to go about it. When Mounir talked with her, she immediately understood that the problem with Naima wasn't her experience, it wasn't her qualifications. The thing was that she had fabulous potential. She had tremendous motivation. Her head was well on her shoulders, and she had a lot of courage because she was determined to embark on something where she didn't really know how to go about it. They met about 10 times between end October 2014 and the opening of the laundry in 2016. During these meetings, Naima gradually understood what a business plan was, a legal status, a financing plan, and all this and that. 10 meetings when Mounir gave her some very pragmatic advice. He started by asking her to complete the market survey, talk with people in the area to see how often they would go to the laundry, how much laundry they would bring each time, go and see competition a few kilometers away to study their prices. He also sent her to see suppliers of washing machines and dryers in order to assess the investment, the amortization, the water, electricity consumption, to create a really good business plan. And he gave her advice as to the legal creation of the company. And also he helped her a lot when she was discouraged. And during these 18 months, she was discouraged at times. The premises she identified was no longer available. The person didn't want to rent it out because he wasn't sure that this lady who knew nothing about laundry would really have a successful company and be able to pay the rent. She was discouraged when the bank, which was to co-finance the loan granted, well, at the last minute, dropped the agreement. So another alternative financing had to be found. She was discouraged because she had to knock on a lot of doors, doors of insurance companies, because no one wanted to insure a premises with a lot of equipment in the area. So during that space of time, Naima's idea became a company, which is really working now, and she's become an entrepreneur. And now she doesn't want to stop there. She intends to open another laundry with her daughter. Why did I spend over half of my speaking time talking about Naima? It's because Naima is not an isolated case. Naima, Valérie, François, Abdou, Toubi, we meet such people every day. Their stories are always unique, but what they show together is that the end of unemployment is indeed possible for them because one can set up one's own job and take one's future into one's own hand. In terms of city policy, we are very active. Unemployment rates are twice that of the national average. 1 out of 2 young people is unemployed. It's also in these areas that people really want to become self-employed. 1 out of 2 people wants to create their own company. Of course, it's quite an adventure. It's not easy to set up a company. Can everyone create a company? What they show us on a daily basis is that most people can. A large number of people can. To this end, you need to know a minimum amount about company management. That's the kind of support we provide, and you have to be given really a lot of human support. Of course, I'm not going to talk about the preceding presentation. Someone who's out of work is quite fragile. To create a company, you have to be highly motivated, so you shouldn't be depressed. You have to be really motivated to create your company. You need someone who listens carefully to you, who provides sturdy support. This is important for project holders to gain in self-confidence. When we talk about what we do, people say 3 things to us quite often. First, it's easy to say that you can solve the problem of unemployment by creating a company. You're talking about a person who has is quite exceptional. Not everyone is like that. Our experience is that a lot of people are like that. Once again, François, Valérie, Toubi, Abdou, all these people we see every day have this ability. In discovering someone's potential, someone who may not even know about his or her own potential, that's one of the most gratifying aspects for us in our work. That's what keeps us going. I'll give you some figures. There are associations involved in creating jobs in these down-and-out areas. We're not the only ones. There's a huge need. I'll give you the figures for Planète Adonc, so those are the ones I know. Last year, we welcomed 4,000 people. 4,000 people who made an appointment to learn about how to create a company. Out of these 4,000, 2,000 received support. In other words, we provide support over time. We validate the fact there's a market for that company, that there's a solid market survey, that there's a proper business plan with realistic forecasts. If financing is necessary, that the financing plan is also realistic. We can help to put together the financing plan, to submit this to banks or a micro credit entity, and help choosing the right legal status. So this takes a certain amount of time, like with NAIMA. On average, you need 5 or 6 visits. 2,000 people embark on this process. Out of the 2,000, 600 enterprises were actually created. So it depends how you see things, whether the glass is half empty or half full. 600 enterprises created if you have 3 million unemployed, but 600 people cease to be jobless. So that's quite a wonderful thing to be able to achieve, in our view. Second comment. It's quite easy to create a company. In fact, you just have to register. You have to get a SIRET number. It's much more difficult to make it last. National statistics aren't that good. And in these down-and-out areas, there are twice as many creations per inhabitant as elsewhere, but twice as many winding downs of company. At 3 years, we have seen that 80% of the enterprises are still registered. That doesn't mean much because they can be dormant. When you ask the entrepreneurs, 67% are still very active, and 20% of the entrepreneurs who created their enterprise 3 years earlier closed that enterprise but have become an employee of somebody else. So we're in a situation where the entrepreneurs who create their enterprise well, 65% are jobless, 17% receive a basic allowance, and 37% 3 years later either still have their company or are working for somebody else. So that shows once again that if you prepare things well and if you help the person who's going to manage the enterprise, then it's going to work. Third comment. In the companies you support, there are a lot of people who choose to be a small self-employed person. They're not going to create many jobs, therefore. It's true, 62% of the enterprises created with Planet Adam employ just one person, and there are 225,000 in France who choose that status. 225,000 in France, that's about half of company creations. We call them a micro-enterprise or an enterprise, it doesn't really matter, but 225,000 people become entrepreneurs because, for one reason or another, they need to create their own job or an additional source of income. I don't know whether you saw the article in Le Monde that people are distributing today. And this is how they solve the problem of joblessness. The income ceiling, there is an income ceiling of 32,500 euros for this status. That's monthly income about 2,200 euros. It's not a lot, but it's more than the minimum wage. And a lot of entrepreneurs choose this status just to test the temperature. They have an idea about developing a product. They don't know whether it's going to work. They don't want to create a huge company with huge overheads. So they start with this, and then they may change their status. So in our view, this is a very good status to begin with. In conclusion, as you would have understood, putting an end to unemployment, yes, it's possible from an individual basis. Setting up a company is a very good solution, but for things to work, you need a relevant source of support. Setting up a company is a wonderful adventure. When you put the question to entrepreneurs around France, if you ask them whether they would like to have done something else, over 50% say no, they would not have liked to do something else, and 17% only regret what they did because they work much harder than other people, they feel alone, they have to cope with all sorts of difficulties, and so on. So it's a status which was sometimes chosen because people didn't feel they could do anything else, but they feel very happy with it. Planet Adam is a wonderful venture. Seeing ideas turn into a lasting company that is viable is fantastic. And seeing these people turn into entrepreneurs, well, that's a wonderful human adventure. That's what we do all day, and that's what mobilizes our teams. Thank you.